All right, before we interpret the results, let me back up and talk about what's in this box. So it says not on a test, so depending on how your particular course is set up this semester, we may have a test or we may not. It really just depends on a couple of different factors like what kind of project you're working on and so on. But in any case, whether there's a test or not, this is just something cool to know. And that's this. When the null hypothesis for a t-test is rejected, so that's whether it's an independent or dependent samples t-test, the confidence interval for the mean difference will never contain a zero. So if you look here, we rejected this, right? And if you look, the confidence interval doesn't contain zero. And if both were negative, that would be the case also. So just something pretty cool to know about. All right, now let's interpret the results. So recall that our null hypothesis is that we said that the average differences between number of latte purchases and number of cappuccino purchases by young professionals is zero, and we rejected that. So what do we conclude? Well, as I mentioned just a second ago, we rejected that. We are saying that it's not equal to zero. And when that happens, what you want to do is look at the means to see which one was purchased more often. So we can say that because lattes mean is higher than cappuccinos, then we can say that that's purchased more often. And so let's type out our conclusion here. There, I looked at the wrong spot in my notes. Reject the null hypothesis. There is a difference between the number of latte purchases and number of cappuccino, lots of double letters there, cappuccino purchases by young professionals. And as we mentioned, as I said a minute ago, we look at the means and see which one is purchased more often, and we said it was lattes. So lattes are purchased more frequently. Okay. Now the confidence interval, well, we look at this output right here and we could say that in the population, the difference between latte and cappuccino purchases per week may be as little as 0.10 or as much as 0.48. Now, when it comes to effect sizes, it's not required for the dependent samples t-test. And really, there's not a good measure of effect size for the dependent samples t-test, and so we're not going to worry about it. As mentioned in these next 2 points right here, yeah, we could, I guess, do something about it, but that's more of an advanced statistical topic, so we're not going to get into that. All right, well, in the next video, let's look at another example.